Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Delighted, of course, being on the Biz Television Network, coast to coast, 38 million homes. But do want to remind you, the show continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com. There you find more about my daily radio program, and we've got hundreds of interviews there lined up for your infotainment. And speaking of infotainment, we're having a great time with Jonathan Swan. He's with The Hill, thehill.com. It's an incredibly influential and rapidly growing in influence, Capitol Hill oriented, but really national politics oriented website. You know, it's like political beware, because I think political is just so obvious in its agenda with its axe to grind. And you guys really do seem to strive for objectivity. I like what you do, Jonathan.
That's very kind of you to say. We do try to be very straight in our reporting.
Yeah, I think you do a great job. Okay, so but there's this fantasy that's going on. There's so much recording going on about national polls, but you and I both know that these are really local elections early on in the presidential campaign. It's Iowa, it's New Hampshire, then it's Super Tuesday. And, you know, you got Donald Trump, who's not done a whole lot of retail politics. He's flown in literally where his podium is and flown out, you know, and hasn't done a lot of the engagement in town hall type meetings that the people are so used to and really spoiled by. You know, I'm wondering what kind of ground game he's got in Iowa. I hear that Ted Cruz has a phenomenal ground game everywhere and is really head and shoulders above everyone else in the southern states, which I think is going to choose the next Republican nominee.
It's a really important point you just made about it's a state-by-state election. And, you know, the question that everyone's asking is how real is the Trump support? Are these people going to show up to caucus? Are they going to? I mean, I'll give you one example. I was in Nevada 2 weeks ago, spent a week on the ground there, was there for the GOP debate, met with some donors, but also spent time with Cruz's campaign, Trump's campaign, Rubio's campaign, Bush's campaign, Carson's campaign. So really got to compare the ground games there. And Nevada's a really good example because it's a state, it's a caucus state, and it's a state where you need to be a registered Republican to vote in the caucus, and you can't just turn up like you can in Iowa on the day of voting and register. You have to be pre-registered. And I can tell you, the Trump rally I went to had far more people. It was way more energetic. It was a show. It was amazing. You know, all of these things compared to Cruz and Rubio. But the other campaigns, from my observation, had more sophisticated use of technology. They were doing a much more rigorous kind of get out the vote, registering people, and it'll just be really fascinating to see, and we'll see very soon. Trump actually got his best ground game in Iowa, so he wants to win Iowa, and you know, we'll see very soon whether all of this enthusiasm is actually going to be translated into people who turn up and vote.
Mm-hmm. So do you think he wins Iowa? I think he probably does. But what is your thoughts? Because some of the polling that is local that seems to be fairly strong is in Iowa.
Cruz is looking very good in Iowa. I mean, firstly, polling, Cruz has pulled ahead in Iowa. He's also got an exceptionally good ground game. He's got important endorsements on the ground there. Steve King is a very popular member of Congress there, has endorsed him. Cruz has put so much more time into the ground game in Iowa than Trump has. He's doing a bus tour and lots and lots of events, and he's obviously very well tapped into evangelical circles there, especially with his father, Raphael. So, I mean, that's the most important constituency in Iowa. So I think Cruz is looking pretty hard to beat in Iowa at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, that's pretty cool. That's good to know. So, and that's exactly why Trump's getting kind of nervous.
Oh, for sure. And you've seen, like, he's working out how to hit Cruz without angering folks like Rush Limbaugh and various other conservative talk show hosts who really went after... When Trump started to go after Cruz, they've had basically a truce for many months now. Cruz has done nothing but praise Trump. And when Trump, I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago, Cruz was recorded in a donor meeting questioning Trump's judgment and Carson's judgment. And Trump sort of saw that as his way of his excuse to go after Cruz, and Trump called him a maniac. But Mark Levine and various other conservative talk show hosts really went after Trump for that, and you saw him back right off. But in the past few days, and I think this indicates how worried he is about Iowa, he started to question Cruz's citizenship, or not citizenship, but, born in Canada.
Where he was born. And by the way, we don't have a minute left, and I have one more question for you, and I think you're absolutely spot on. It's an interesting, delicate dance those two have done. How does Cruz not win, though, when you look at the ground game in the southern states? What I hear is phenomenal. For Super Tuesday, he's, again, head and shoulders above everyone else. I don't think, he may win Iowa. It doesn't look like Trump or him is going to win New Hampshire for what I'm reading, but he's head and shoulders. I mean, it almost looks like it's Cruz's to lose.
Well, a lot of people agree with you. Remember, Trump's ahead in New Hampshire at the moment by some margin. If you look at the New Hampshire polling, the question is, are these people going to turn up and vote? I mean, what we could see, and we just don't know this. Remember back to 2000 this time in 2008, Hillary Clinton was well ahead of Barack Obama in Iowa.
Yeah,
and he turned out a whole new galaxy of voters. And if Trump does that, and he might, he's a celebrity. We've never quite seen someone like him. Then all bets are off. But we just don't know.
Yeah, got to wrap it up with that. Jonathan Swan, thanks so much for being with us. He's at thehill.com. Great job.
Thank you. Cheers.
When we come back, we're going to have much more for you. Do want to remind you, the show continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com.